Well, I'm excited about the future plans that we have here. You know,
you've got big plans. Of course, so much has to happen. As Jim talked about last week, we were highlighting the after-death care industry and in the future. I know he talked. We ran out of time, and I'm going to have to get Jim back another time. But folks say, why are you having this licensed funeral director and embalmer on Carolina People? What does all this matter? I mean, this is something. Why talk about these morbid subjects on TV in the morning?
Because people wants to know. It's always been a very, very private industry, not talked about. Funeral directors doesn't get out and talk about it. And people wants to know. I mean, they have questions. When they find out you're with a funeral home or whatever you're doing in the funeral business, they ask questions.
What are some of the typical questions you get, Rick, out on the street when folks bump into you in the grocery store? Price. Is that right? Wow.
Yeah. What does it cost now?
What does it cost for what? For a traditional burial? For
traditional burial, cremation, direct cremation, cremation with memorial service. What does it cost to get shipped back to Connecticut or to New Jersey or something like that?
Sure.
What does it cost for that,
You just said cremation and direct cremation. What is direct cremation?
Direct cremation means that if death happens in hospice or the coroner or the hospital calls us, and we go to the home or the hospital or wherever to pick up the deceased, they sign papers right then normally, or they come in the next day.
Right.
And we get all of the paperwork taken care of, and then the people go for direct cremation. There's usually no service, no memorial service or anything.
Okay.
A lot of times the family will take the cremains, cremated remains.
They'd have their own ceremony.
And they'll have their own ceremony. Maybe they may wait a month till they can get all the family together or something.
Right.
So
that's a very good point.
So it's more convenient for people.
That's a very good point.
Because people works all over. I mean, it's just like our family. Look at us. My mother lives in Kentucky. My stepson lives in Kentucky. My daughter lives in Georgia. We live down here. So, by the time everybody gets together,
Right. That's a very good point. So oftentimes you want to make sure and speed the process along. Let's say someone died tomorrow, Rick. How long can they remain before you would actually have a service? How long can they sit let's say they went to McMillan Small or Goldfinch over here in Conway. How long can they sit there at the funeral home before a service has to be held? Is there a date, or can they sit in a freezer, let's say, or somewhere?
When I was at McMillan Small, of course, I'd done most of the embalming and the cremations.
Right. You worked for Steve McMillan and his family.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
Good.
But matter of fact, I just talked to him the other day, and at the convention, I saw some of his men.
Is that right? Great.
Talked to them
up in Columbia, the South Carolina Funeral Directors Association.
But I seen people that was going to be shipped back to Mexico.
Right.
That's had to stay there up to 3 weeks before.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So oftentimes you just have, and you're into a refrigerator unit.
Right. They're embalmed and then put in a refrigeration unit.
Right. And I suspect with the international population in the Myrtle Beach area, Israeli families are in the PD area from all over. As you mentioned, the Mexican, the Hispanic population.
Shipped them to Russia, to Israel, to everywhere. McMillan Small does a lot of shipping business.
That's great. And they've been in business now 30 years, I think.
Yeah.
Very exciting. And Roddy Dickinson, the treasurer of Horry County, his son Kelsey has recently joined them.
Yeah.
And I understand I read a profile in the Herald with Holly McMillan, Lee McMillan's wife, and she was highlighting that.
I don't know how Lee lucked out there.
He outmarried himself just like you.
Yeah, that's right.
Just like you. You all have that in common.
Must be a trade with a funeral director,
Oh, absolutely. Well, making a commitment in a community, of course, yourself, Rick, with 36 years in the industry. I mean, you really know what's the most important ingredient for you as a licensed funeral director and what you do. What is the most important ingredient about who you are and what you do? What do you think is for you?
After the service is over, when the family just gives you a nod or says thank you or I appreciate you taking care of my mother. It's not always the big thank you letter. It's not, something in the paper or something like that. It's just knowing that you took care of them and did the very best you could possibly do for my people.
So the ingredient there is truly service before, during, and after.
Yeah, and that's the way with the other funeral homes around here. Let me tell you something. This is a very competitive market on service, because all the funeral homes give good service.
Give great service. And there are a lot of funeral homes. Jim mentioned last week, started naming them off, and we said, stop. And, last week we were filming at Graves Pools and Spas, and Alicia Graves McKenzie is married to a gentleman whose family owns 3 funeral homes in Georgetown County, I believe. It was fascinating to see the extent of family relationships in business, and family really means a lot to you.
Yeah, buddy. It sure does. And I guess you have to be, a close family person to be in the funeral business, because we were talking about Steve a while ago. Steve McMillan, Holly and Lee's got that new baby,
Right.
Well, I told him, I said, you just wait till that baby gets here.
Yeah.
I said, you ain't seen love till you see that grandbaby.
Yeah.
And I reckon he's just crazy about it.
Oh, yeah, very definitely. It's good to know there's some level of camaraderie in building up the industry, supporting other folks, but still maintaining this level of competition. And particularly when it's such a heavily regulated industry, and you've got inspectors capable of stopping in any time to look at your books to see if your price lists are correct. When you've got a state board that meets every other month to either approve new funeral directors, approve new homes or not, it has to be a good level of professionalism.
When I talked to Ernest Adams with the state board of the inspector,
Right.
I got tickled at him. He said he went to a funeral home. He said, and he checked everything out. And he said, he looked, and there said a hearse out there. He said, everything was fine. Well, now it says a motorized hearse. So that means it has to run.
Yeah.
Well, when he went down the street to the competition, they said, well, did you check out their hearse? And he said, well, I saw it sitting out there. He said, go start it. So he said, I went back up there and tried to start the hearse. He said it didn't have a motor in it.
Right.
He said, just sitting out there. He said, so now every time when I go to a funeral home, I make sure when he's inspecting, he said, I always make sure they start the hearse and pull it out and back it up. Then I make sure it runs.
That is a rare example of some funeral directors in some other part of the state where, that's a rare example. Most funeral directors are obviously, that is a very rare.
What it was a very, very small funeral home, and what they was doing, they was going through a leasing service.
Right.
And leasing, and they had a livery service that would do a livery service that done their pickups for them.
Oh, yeah.
We have...
Speaking of pickups, we talked about there's a gentleman I think who's running for a coroner, correct? As a pickup service.
Dan Bellamy, he owns a livery service, and livery, that means to pick up the deceased to go to the hospital, and then Boyd Grindstaff, he has Grindstaff. It used to be called Tidwell, but I think it's called Grindstaff services now
Over in the PD.
Yeah, and then there's another guy here, and I can't think of what his name is right off the bat.
And they will.
But there's a third one here. Yeah.
And so that means even though you're working 24/7, Rick, you're always available. You can't always. You have to sleep sometimes.
That's right.
You can't always go out and pick up every deceased.
Right now, if we get a call at our funeral home and it's a home call and a family's going to be there, we would, like when I was at McMillan Small or whatever, we would always get up and go in the middle of the night, or go during the day to the home. But if it's a hospital call, a coroner call, that's just to go to the morgue to take care of and stuff. A lot of times that way you'll send the livery service to take care of it.
Oh, yeah, very definitely, Rick. And, of course, for you, you owned and operated your own home, Neal Funeral Home, there in McCreary County in Pine Knot, Kentucky for, was it almost 2 decades?
Yeah, but wanted to move to the beach.
Right. What was it about the beach that really tickled your fancy, Rick?
I love it here. This is home.
Yeah.
I had a real good job opportunity, and back when I worked with McMillan Small, down in Goose Creek.
Right.
And my salary was going to just right what you say double.
Yeah.
And it was a good job, and I would have liked it. And when I went home and told Bonnie, I said, I told her about it. She said, no, this is home.
Wow.
I ain't going nowhere no more. I said, well, this is right where we're going to stay.
Right. So, good answer. Yeah.
And not that she's the boss.
She is.
The thing of it is,
you better say, yes, she is the boss. Get it out,
I'm not henpecked. I just got hen house ways.
Well, of course, it so much has to be a family affair. I mean, y'all obviously, your wife has to be very supportive of the idea that at any time of the hour, any time of the night, any time of the day, a call could come.
Well,
you're ready, lickety split.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing of it is, we go out a lot to dinner a lot and out with people and lot and do things. But when that call comes in, we have been ready, dressed, and in the car and going down the road, and a call come in, and me have to turn right around or go to the funeral home and get in the hearse and go, and then her take the car and go on back to the house. And she's understanding about that. She knows that's the life that we've chosen, and that's the way it has to be. You can't wait.
Right.
You have to get on the ball and get there. Because when a person passes away, they don't want to see or even talk about the funeral director 5 minutes before, but they expect you to be there 5 minutes after. Because they want to know that someone's there to take care of their loved one, and they want something done immediately. Families do. Not
an hour from now.
That's
not
right.
30 minutes from now, but
that's
5 minutes from now.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
So, and the thing that you always, they taught us in mortuary school to do, always when you get a call in the middle of the night or whatever time you get the call,
right,
make sure the responsible person is on the telephone that says, I'll be leaving here in 10 minutes. So, and of course in this area with the traffic, you never know.
Right.
But if you tell a family, I'm leaving here in 10 minutes, I'll be there as soon as I possibly can.
Right.
So I should be there within 30 minutes.
We just got a minute, Rick. When your loved one dies, who do you call first? Is it the funeral home or do you call 911? Who do you call?
You can call either one. If you call the funeral home,
right,
the funeral home will know exactly what to do.
Okay.
They'll take all the burden off of you as far as who you need to call about calling, the police or calling 911 or calling the coroner's office or anything. If you call the funeral director, and they'll know if it's hospice or who it is. They'll take care of everything.
Any special messages you want to send out to loved ones for this special week?
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thank you, Rick. Absolutely. Happy 10th anniversary to you and Bonnie. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Rick Neal, licensed funeral director in Balmer, coming up next. Wish you'd heard him say it off camera. He's talking about his beautiful bride, Bonnie, and he said, Bonnie's always calling me old tenderheart. He'll cry about everything. It's that kind of relationship, whether it's with his spouse, with his children, with his grandchildren, or with the families he cares about, wherever he is, whether, as he talked about, working at a funeral home in the area, in Kentucky, in Tennessee, traveling all over, making a difference in whatever community it is, caring about families. Would you rather have old Tenderheart there with you as you're going through tough times, or somebody you may not know, may not understand, and may not be there to support you? Take the time to learn more about the tremendous funeral home industry and the impact it makes every day on so many citizens, whether here in the PD or southeastern North Carolina or wherever in the world. It's a tremendous industry, and we're learning about it every day from old Tenderheart.